Good morning, class. This is Edu 3201 Research Method and Statistics. You have to pay attention to this course. It's very wide but very interesting. We want to look at the nature and meaning of research this morning. The concept of educational research. Research in general has to do with an inquiry into the unknown. When you know an answer, you don't need to be looking for the answer. But research generally has to do with inquiry into the unknown, and it is the search for solution to problems or answer to questions. You have some question bothering your mind, you now search for it. So go by this many activities in individual life in the course of his or day-to-day functioning can be described as research in a sense. For instance, providing answer to questions relating to the background of your family, finances, or how best you feed your family, etc. can be called research. But when research employs a systematic approach, the scientific method, it is said to be scientific research. So it's not all research that are scientific. So but when it obtains systematic approach, it is scientific that use scientific method, it is said to be scientific research. Indeed, every field of human endeavor involves research, but not all fields is the scientific method employed. Not all fields use scientific method. In other words, not every research qualifies as a scientific research. Education research, however, qualifies as scientific research insofar as it adopts scientific method. Educational research, therefore, is a systematic approach to the solution of educational problems, most especially in Nigeria, where we have multifarious educational problems. We have multifarious educational problems that are begging for answers. So before research in any field can be said to be scientific, it must possess certain characteristics. All scientific investigation must possess certain characteristics. The number one is empirical. It must be empirical. They involve the collection of data. Data is the information that you collect. You use different instruments. Instrument is the maybe questionnaire, inventory, whatever you use is what we call instrument. It's not cutlass and hoe. Instrument is those what you use, the instrument of assessment that you use to collect data. So it involve empirical one. The first characteristic, which is empirical, involve the collection of data which provide the basis for drawing conclusion. Conclusions are not based on what author feels or what you think. It's not what you feel or what you think, but on concrete evidence adduced from data collected by careful observation of the phenomenon being investigated. Where you have gathered data together, is what they have feel. The instrument that you use for collection, the assessment instrument, after it has been analyzed, your conclusion is based on the data collected, so it becomes empirical. Then the second one is the characteristic it must be theoretical. Any scientific research aims at producing a set of interrelated propositions which can explain certain phenomena among variables. Theories will have been formulated, it will have been designed by people, so it must follow that pattern. It must possess it. Any research must have it was based on theory that theorists have propounded, researchers, scholars have propounded earlier on. So it must be empirical, it must be theoretical, it must follow pattern of a theory that has been formulated, and it must be cumulative. You can't just take an item and conclude that it must be cumulative. All those evidences that have been gathered together, it must be based on it, that have been gathered together before, so it must be cumulative. Each scientific investigation tries to build upon the existing facts, those facts that have been accumulated, the existing fact that theories have helped in refining and extending the existing principle, those things, the principle that have been laid down before, that have been in existence. So it must be cumulative. And another characteristic is that it must be non-ethical. Ethical issues deal with wrong or right. So scientific investigation do not consider ethical issues, whether it's right or wrong. In other words, they do not seek answer to questions such as whether the action is right or wrong. Rather, they attempt to find explanation for any action that is being done. Is explanation they find is not justified that this is right or wrong. Another characteristic is verifiable. Verifiable. For a research to be qualified as a scientific research, it must be verifiable. You as an educationist or as a researcher, you have gone to field, you collected data, and you analyze, and you now arrive at a conclusion. That conclusion that you arrive at should be verifiable. Other people might be able to go to the field and prove that what you have said is correct, or they might prove you wrong. So it is verifiable. So those are the characteristics of scientific research. It must be empirical, it must be theoretical, it must be cumulative, it must be non-ethical issue, and it must be verifiable. Then we go to types of research. We have different types of research. The first one is pure or basic research. Pure or basic research. Pure or basic research. Pure or basic research. We have pure or basic research. Pure or basic research. When we talk of pure or basic research, theory development research is referred to as pure research. When his interest relates the interest of the researcher, when the interest all that is based on is to discover or discovery of facts for knowledge sake. If that research is based on the interest of the researcher is based mainly on discovery of fact for knowledge sake, it's also called fundamental research. It's called basic research or pure research, and it is also called fundamental research, and is concerned with producing results or findings which will lead to the development of theories. His interest is in building theories which will lead to the advancement of knowledge in a particular field. We have heard about behavioral theory of learning, the Pavlovian theory of learning. Those ones, they are fundamentals of learning theory. We have about Bronfenbrenner ecological theory of human development. Those theories have been developed. They have been developed. That is a major concern or pure or basic research is just to prove fact, discovering of fact for knowledge sake. That is one of the typology based on use, just for knowledge sake, to develop knowledge. Is for knowledge sake, to develop knowledge. Then we have the second one in typological based on use is applied research. Applied research, as the name implies, applied research. The first one is pure research. Pure research, which we have explained, and the second one is applied research. Applied research. Applied research. applied research. As the name applied research, applied research. As the name implies, applied research is the one that is directed towards the application of scientific knowledge. Is directed towards the application of scientific knowledge or theory with a view of to provide solution to specify problem in a given area of interest. It has been formed, the pure or basic research has been formed, then it will be applied, it will be tested by applied research. It is referred to as a problem solving research because it is primarily at testing and applying established theory, the theory that has been developed by basic researcher, will be tested by applied theories. So as well as evaluating the usefulness of the theory, it will also evaluate the usefulness of the theory. It will evaluate the usefulness of the theory. The usefulness of the theory will be evaluated. So basic research and applied research, they are interrelated. Both basic research and applied research, they are interrelated. For instance now, a basic researcher produces the theory. An applied researcher tests the usefulness of the theory in a practical situations. So they complement each other. The test provides some feedback to the basic researcher, which helps him in modifying and refining his theory. It will help him to modify and refine the theory. In this respect, no one type can be said to be inferior or superior to the other. Whether the pure researcher will develop the theory, the applied researcher will apply the theory, and the feedback of the applied researcher will help the basic researcher or the pure researcher to modify the findings or to modify the theory. So both complement each other. Then the third one in aspect based on use is action research. Research that is methodological based on use is action research. This is action research. We have action research. This is research directed towards solving problems. This one is directed towards action research is directed towards solving problem. Action research. We have pure, so basic. We have applied research. Then we have action research. We have action research. Action research. Action research, it is research directed towards solving problem. It's directed towards solving problems through the application of scientific method within a clearly specified local setting. This type of research usually undertaken by either a teacher. It might be a teacher that is utilizing this method of research. This type of research is usually undertaken by a teacher or a group of teachers in school to solve particular problems in the classroom or in the school generally. A teacher may notice that a particular student is usually keeping to himself or for having a particular noise factor. There might be a particular student that student might not be relating with others in the classroom, and this has been noticed by the teacher. The teacher might carry a kind of action research to find out the reason why that particular student is not relating with the colleagues. And also a noise factor. You see a particular student, you see he might be in the class, but you discover there is always absent minded. You see, discover that there is a noise factor. I've discovered that kind in classes before, that there is a noise factor in you, and later I will find out that truly there is a noise factor in that particular student. So a teacher may notice that a particular student is usually keeping to himself for having a particular noise factor. If the teacher set out to find the causes of this problem, he is carrying out action research. Action research is an important tool in the hands of a teacher who wants to be effective, because when you are teaching, you are not just concerned with just teaching in the classroom. You must notice the students that you are teaching, whether there are noise factors in them. Action research lay emphasis not on the development of theory or obtaining generalizable knowledge, but on increasing knowledge and awareness of the local subject matter involved in the study and not their problems. So consequently, the findings from action research are to be evaluated not in terms of universal validity or applicability as fundamental research, but in terms of local applicability. What are we saying? All liability that we be thinking they are big. What are we saying? That in action research is limited to a particular problem, maybe in a particular school or in a classroom situation. It is not the kind of result that you will get there that you will now be generalizing. It is not a generalizable research. It is a research that is particular to a situation, a particular classroom setting or a particular school setting. So action research is aimed at looking at is an important tool for a teacher who wants to be effective in the classroom. If you want to find the causes of the problem of learner or of learning situation, so you cannot generalize the problem that is applicable to this environment, cannot be generalized as will be applicable to another environment. So that is why action research is also good, but it is not generalizable. Those are the typology based on use. Now we go to another type, typology based on form. We have a method based classification. The first one is typological based on form, that is the type based on form, that is method based classification, is historical research. We have historical research. This is a systematic and objective inquiry, typological based on form. We have historical research. Historical research. We have historical research. That is number one under typological based on form. That is method based classification. Method based classification. We have historical research. And in historical research, this is a systemized method. This is a systemized and objective inquiry into events, development and experiences of the past. As the name implies, history. History is very, very pertinent in any nation. We can see that any nation that is devoid of history is going into extinction. We can see that the government of Nigeria has just woken up to reintroduce history in the school. And when it is being introduced, there are no teacher, because nobody wants his or child to go and study history in the university. So although the design historical research developed and is used more in the field of history, it has in recent times come to find useful applications also in other fields aside the history. So it can be used to solve educational problems, such as tracing the development of certain programs in education, or bringing to limelight the contribution of notable figures and or establishment to the development of education, or bringing to limelight the contribution of notable figures and or establishment of development of education. This type of study is always concerned with the past and calls for a more difficult type of data. very difficult to analyze data interpretation. It is, however, a very useful and important form of research in education. For instance, most of our practices in education have some historical roots. There is nothing you can be doing in life that will not have a historical roots. A proper grasp of these historical roots will not only help us in improving upon such practices at the present, but also it will help in shaping them to suit the present and the future. You know, in evaluation, when you have been doing some things and the things is good, you expand it, you do it more. I normally query my teachers at times that there are some things we have been doing before that are helping the standard of the skill, but you will just see some that one way or the other some teachers will come, maybe they are not aware or they neglect such things, and they will, that thing will just go into extinction. You now begin to ask yourself that when did we stop this practice? So when you don't venture into the past, the future might be bleak. So it can also help us to appreciate the historical context of great giants in our setting. Example of historical study include the development of special education in Nigeria. The development of special education in Nigeria. The University of Ibadan in the first 25 years of existence. The contribution of Ajayi Crowther to the development of Nigeria education. So data for historical research, they are obtained from two main sources, primary and secondary sources. Wherever primary sources are available to use, secondary sources are very susceptible to distortion and hence may not be authentic as the primary sources. What we are saying is that if there is primary sources, it will be better to use primary sources rather than the secondary sources because they are being distorted. In evaluating the data collection, two forms of criticism are involved: the external and internal criticism. They are the criticisms that are involved. External criticism seeks to establish the authenticity of the data. It seeks answer to such questions as: was the report or release actually written by Ajayi Crowther? If Crowther actually wrote it, was he competent and objective when he wrote it? That is external criticism. Then internal criticism, on the other hand, is concerned with the accuracy or the content of the source. Are the statements accurate, representative of historical facts? Did the author have any motive, biases or limitation which could have led to the misinterpretation of the historical facts, which is possible? You see some people writing about Ajayi Crowther. They said that Ajayi Crowther in a village near Ogbomosho. Those kind of instruments, you know, if you now use that kind of information, you know it will be, it's already distorted, it's falsified. Everybody knows from history that Ajayi Crowther is from Oshogun near Isheyin. So this process of evaluation is particularly important. Is historical research. Historical research usually depends on data observed and recorded by someone else. So if you don't subject it to internal and external criticism and you use the data, you continue to write wrong information, like the one that the document that says Ajayi Crowther is from Oshogun near Ogbomosho. You see, and is handing over from generation to generation, and you are writing your own. You don't subject it to external criticism and internal criticism. That kind of a document will now be handed over to our children, which is already falsified. So historical research involves more than an ordinary review of the literature. It is more extensive and intensive, including more sources, published and unpublished, old and recent. Before applying the design to any educational problem, the researcher must ensure that A, it is the most appropriate for the problem under investigation. You must ascertain that historical method, you don't have any other method that you can use, it is the most appropriate for the problem under investigation, because you might be thinking that it's easy. It might not be easy as you thought when you want to do historical research. Then the pertinent data are available and are within reach. You must ensure that the pertinent, the important data, they are available and they are within your reach. Another consideration is that appropriate objectives, that is hypothesis, you ensure that objectives, what you want to achieve, and appropriate hypotheses are formulated to guide the investigation. Because when you don't have objective to guide the investigation, you will think astray. You must have appropriate objectives and hypotheses that are formulated to guide the investigation. It will be a kind of discern. It will be a kind of guide. Then the data are subjected to both external and internal criticism, and the result of this exercise brought to bear on the interpretation of data. When you look for external criticism, you are sure that this author is not biased. How can you say Ajayi Crowther is from Osogbo near Ogbomoso, and you don't look at, we say one of the characteristics the other time of education research is cumulative. You look for other sources, not that only one source, that's 40 source. So also in writing the report, the following are included: the statement of the problem. We are looking at historical research, review of sources of materials, where you got your materials, assumptions, hypotheses, method used in testing the hypothesis. How did you test the hypothesis? Findings and interpretation, conclusion, and bibliography. Those are what historical research entails. We are looking at typological based on method. Then another typological type based on method is survey research. Survey research. Survey research. Survey research. This is a very common research. It's commonly used research. Survey research. Survey research. In a survey research is one of which group of people or item are studied by collecting and analyzing data from only few people or items considered to be representative of the entire group. The survey plan or survey design specify how such data will be collected, methodology, the method you use in collecting data, and analyzed. However, there are some surveys in which the entire population is studied. Such survey is called census, as distinct from sample surveys in which a sample of the population is studied. You can never study all the population, all SS3 students in Nigeria. So you obtain a sample. The representative of them is called sample. Representative of population is called sample. So that is the register. In survey, the idea of sampling is fundamental, very, very fundamental, since you cannot study the whole population. This is so because only part of the population is studied, and findings from this are expected to be generalized to the entire population. When you take a sample of the population, you are expected to generalize the sample of the population to the entire population in a survey. The survey researcher must consider the sample size and also how to obtain this in such a way to ensure that the resultant sample is sufficiently representative of the population. You must carefully select your population, and the sample from the population must be randomly done, or method, or whether stratified done or randomly done. You must do it in such a way that it will be representative. So the knowledge of sampling techniques or sampling procedure is necessary. Is necessary for the execution of a good survey research. Another crucial issue is which a survey researcher has to grapple with is the validity and reliability of the data collected. What do we mean by this? The instrument, the data you will collect from your subjects, those people that you want to use for the study, are they valid? Are they testing what they are meant to test? That is what we mean by validity. And are they reliable? Are they consistent over time? Are they consistent over time? That is what we mean by reliability. A survey research might seem as if simple, but it must be representative. I use a survey for my own research. When I did my PhD, I did a comprehensive EFAGO 1, comprehensive early childhood care and education, the 3 aspects of the 6 goals. And I used Southwest Nigeria. That is a survey. I conducted a survey. So in that Southwest Nigeria, I said you can't use the total population. As you cannot use the total population, you must use the representative of the sample of the population. So in the Southwest, 6 states made up the Southwest Nigeria, and 6 states were randomly selected from the 6 states. 3 states were randomly selected, which is Oyo, Ogun, and Osun. So the 3 states, out of those 3 states now, also all schools that were used, the preparatory schools that were used were randomly selected. The health care centers that were used were randomly selected. So it was devoid of bias because they were randomly selected from each state, and some local governments were also randomly selected. So, and you establish the validity of the instrument that are being used and the reliability. So that is a survey research. Since you cannot study the whole population, as we said, survey research is also the second aspect of research based on method, typological based on methods, the form or method, historical research, survey research. Then the third one is experimental research. Experimental research. Historical, survey, and experimental, typological based on method. Experimental research. The main thrust of experimental research is to establish cause and effect relationship. It is the most powerful and valid design which can be used to identify confidently the cause and end of any given effect. What is causing this? What is causing this? In experimental study, one or more independent variables is or are manipulated by the experimenter under control condition, and is or their effects are observed. This usually involve exposing one or more experimental groups to one or more treatment conditions and observing the differences between these groups. I will explain everything. And one or more control groups to which the treatment was not administered. What are we saying when we are talking of experimental research? There is a kind of experiment that has been carried out. That is why we call it experimental research. Assuming as a researcher you want to carry out experimental research, you have your own independent variables, those factors that you want to consider. You will manipulate it. That is the one that is being controlled. That is what we mean by manipulated by the experiment under control condition. How do we manipulate it? You want to test about 3 teaching methods on your learners. Maybe you want to test 3 teaching methods on SS3 students or SS2 students in your state. We have maybe you want to use discovery method, you want to use peer tutoring method, and you want to use another method for the learners. Now you mount the experiment. In a school you use peer tutoring, in another school you use peer tutoring. You have trained the researchers or the teachers that will carry out the experiment. You have trained them on those methods, how the package will go. That is the experimental group. You want to see the effect of those teaching methods on the learner, on the performance of the learner, whether it will enhance the performance of the learner. Now that is what we call experimental group. And there is what we call control group. The control group under experimental is that you have a conventional method that you are using to teach before, naturally, whether lecture method or any method, talk and shock method that you have been using before. So this one you don't put them under any experiment, you don't put them under any package of maybe peer tutoring. In peer tutoring, maybe you have packaged it, you have taught them that okay, after you have taught them, they will gather together in group, peer tutoring others. When that method is done in school A, and another method is done, that is maybe group method, another method that you are using, you use it with group B in another school. Those schools should not interact. Then the control group, you use the normal method, the traditional method that you have been using before, you use it for the control group. So when you have used that one for the control group, after the experiment, the period of the experiment is 6 weeks, 6 months, whatever, 3 months, then you will now test the students whether you have tested them before, their performance before, whether the method that they now use, maybe it has effect, it's made them to perform more than before you test it. So you will be able to conclude. So an experiment must therefore involve experimental or treatment groups and control group. That's what I explained. So the treatment or experimental group is the group to which the treatment was administered, which the method, peer tutoring method or group method is being applied, administered. The treatment is the variable being manipulated, that is the teaching method, and whose effect is under investigation. It can be called the independent variable. That's what we mean by independent variable. It's not a big name. So experimental variable or treatment variable, the effect of the treatment is called the dependent variable. That is the effect of the treatment, the effect of those 3 teaching methods. They are called independent variables, and X and Y. X and Y. X affecting Y. The teaching method has been used. The 3 teaching method, 2 teaching method will affect the performance of the learner. Is the S and Y. So whether the 3 teaching methods will affect the academic performance of SS2 students in Oyo State. So there is another variable in experimental study that is called extraneous variable. These are variables that can affect the study. They are independent variable which could exert some influences over the dependent variable, but are not themselves study. For instance, age can affect. So they are unwanted, they are undesired in the particular study. So you have to curtail it, you have to build it in. You have to look at the age of the student, the average age of the student, that if age will be a kind of a variable, the extraneous variable, you build it in. You look at the age of those students that are qualified to be part of the experimental study. I just cited the example of it. There are many variables, extraneous variables, that they are the independent, but you don't want to study them, so you build them in. They therefore have to be checked or controlled. Like I said, that you build them in, you check them, you control them. You look at, for instance, if it's age now, if another somebody is 20 and all other are 16, 17 there, the average age, you consider the average age, the person that is 20, you will not be allowed to take part in the study. Otherwise, they will confirm the effect of the experiment. We have looked at topological typology based on use or method there. Now we want to look at typology based, that there are different ways of classifying, of identifying the research. So that is why we are looking at one by one like that. So we are looking at typological logic based on kind of evidence and analysis now. Typology based on kind of evidence and analysis used, the analysis that is used now. That is what we are looking at now. Then we have qualitative research. We have qualitative research. We have qualitative research. What is qualitative research? Qualitative research is a scientific method of observation to gather non-numerical data. They are used to gather non-numerical. It is not every research that is numerical. This type of research refers to the meanings, concepts, definitions, characteristics, concepts, symbols, and description of things, and not their accounts or measure. This one they don't use numerical, so it's not every research that lend itself to numerical, to quantitative. This one is called qualitative measure. So we have 6 types of qualitative research. We have phenomenological model, we have ethnographical model, we have grounded theory, we have case study, we have historical model, and we have narrative model. They are not quantitative, they are qualitative, purely qualitative, not counts, not numerical. Qualitative research is primarily exploratory research. It is used to gain an understanding of underlying reasons, opinion, and motivations. It provides insight into the problem or has ideas or hypotheses for potential qualitative research. I repeat it, that qualitative research is primarily exploratory. It explores. It's an exploratory research. It helps to gain an understanding of underlying reason. What are the reasons I judge for this? Why is this happening? Why is this kind of opinion formed? What brought about this motivation? Qualitative research will be useful in that area. It provides insight into the problem or has ideas or hypotheses for potential qualitative research. Some people, before they go into quantitative research, they will first of all gather information in the historical background and everything. We said we have different types of qualitative research, different models. So they will first of all go into qualitative, like historical model. So it will provide evidences, it will provide information, even if they are still going to use quantitative research. In fact, completely now, qualitative research is being conducted, is being done by those people that have learned and have learned to use it. It's not everybody that can use qualitative research. I belong to a group, psychometricians, that are teaching us online how to use a qualitative approach. Now it has to be studied before you can use it effectively. Then another form is quantitative research. Another form, evidence based on use or kind of analysis, is quantitative research. The first one is qualitative, The second one is quantitative, as the name implies. Quantitative research. In quantitative research is defined as a systematic investigation of the phenomena under investigation by gathering quantifiable data and performing statistics, mathematical or computational techniques. As the name implies, quantitative research is defined as a systematic investigation of the phenomena by gathering quantifiable data and performing statistics, mathematical or computational techniques. Data from quantitative research, just as market size, demographics variables, and user preferences, it provides important information for business decision. Like when you know market size now, the market for a business owner, that you want to know the consumption of your material, of your food item. You want to know those people that are consuming it, so you can perform a kind of quantitative research to know the market size. This will help you in your decision making on what to produce, so that what you produce will be consumed by the appropriate market size, will be able to meet the market demand. So it provides important information for business decision. Quantitative data allow for a broader study involving a greater number of subjects. That is, those people that you use for research is what we call subjects, and enhancing the generalization of the results. You'll be able to generalize that 80%, if you carry out a kind of research in your state and you have randomly selected, you can generalize 80% of your state indigene are using this kind of product. Oh, it's not 80%, it's 50% or it's 5%. Since there is data that can be analyzed, that are quantifiable, so you'll be able to judge, you'll be able to generalize. It allows for a broader study involving greater number of subjects, enhancing the generalization of the results. It can also allow for greater objectivity and accuracy of results, because the results are quantifiable. You can say so confidently, because you have collected data that 80%, because if you have done it the way you should do it, if it has been randomly selected, if you have the data and adequately analyzed. So quantitative data is information about quantities, 80%, 50%, 10%, 60%. That is information that can be measured and written down with numbers. You can measure it. You can, unlike historical one or qualitative one, but this one you can say with evidence. That is why in WAEC and NECO they can say, or JAMB, they can say 80% at English 5 credits in English and mathematics. So 80% pass, 50% pass, because it has number. It is with number. It is measurable and it can be written down. Some example of quantitative data are your height. You can measure your height accurately, your shoe size, the length of your clothes. You can measure them accurately. So that's the one that lends itself to quantitative, to numerical reasoning. Numerical analysis is quantitative research, while the other one is qualitative research. The third type of typology based on kind of evidence or analysis is eclectic or triangular or multiple perspective research. Multiple perspective research. It can be called eclectic or triangular or multiple perspective research. Eclectic research is a strategy or multiple research that tries to demonstrate that the findings from a study have construct validity. It has construct validity. It is associated with other elements. Eclectic approach is a method of language education that combines various approaches and methodologies to teach language depending on the aims of the lesson and the abilities of the learners. And with that different methodologies, we can now judge, we can now make generalization. Different teaching methods are borrowed and adapted to suit the requirements of the learners in a multiple perspective, multiple research, so they can really ascertain maybe the problem of learners. They can judge, can now generalize that learning difficulties is caused by so factor, because different methods are being put together. Multiple factors are being put together. That we have looked at different types of research based on use. We have looked at the types of based on use. We look at pure research, action or applied research. We look at typological based on form, historical research, descriptive survey and experimental research. And we will be able to look at typology based on kind of evidence and analysis used. We looked at qualitative research, quantitative research, eclectic or triangular research, or multiple perspective research, which multiple perspective will be used to look at the problem and will be used to analyze. Then we want to forge ahead. Having studied those things, read more on them. Let me give you an assignment. You write short notes on the following. Go and read. The more you can go into the next: pure research, applied research, historical research, descriptive survey and experimental research. Write short notes on the following: pure research, applied research, historical research, descriptive research and experimental research. Go provide into the net, provide more information and study the one we have discussed. And if you have any question, you on our interactive WhatsApp, you ask question, I will provide more information. So on that note, let's forge ahead to the research process. I told you earlier that this course is very, very vital as an educationist, as a teacher in training, because you will need it. You will need the application when you are going to write your project. When you are going to write your project, you will need it. That's why you have to identify the types of research, and you can know the one that you want to dabble in, whether you want to go into experimental research, whether you want to go into historical, whether you want to go to into a survey. So you must that's why go to the library or check your net, read more on types. And as you are attending this lecture, be putting it at the back of your mind that you have a problem to solve, an educational problem to solve, because you will soon you are now in 300 level. You will use all these things, you will apply them. This is the theory. You will apply them on your project when you are writing your project. So the research process: selecting problems, nature of educational problems in education can take one of the following forms. Like I said earlier on, I said we have multifarious issue, multifarious educational problems, most especially in Nigeria. So the problem can take any of these dimensions. An unsatisfactory state of affairs. It might be an unsatisfactory state of affairs. You have been looking at something, it's not satisfactory. It can be an unanswered question. We will look at them one by one. I will first of all highlight them. I will look at the explanation one by one. So the course of this lecture, you begin to look into a problem that is agitating your mind, that you would like to solve, where you are the one that will look for a topic yourself, and the one that is agitating your mind on an unsatisfactory state of affairs, an unanswered question, a missing link, a need, and an imbalance. So let's look at unsatisfactory state of affairs. Many things are unsatisfactory in our educational system. Any unsatisfactory state of affairs in education will constitute a problem. Such state arises when things are not what they are supposed to be. If you can note it in Nigeria educational system, many things are not as they supposed to be. So it is usually a distressing condition which ought to be rectified. So I want you to begin to think now, what are those things that you felt they don't supposed to be? So that is what will spoil your mind into a kind of problem you want to solve in your research. It's not for you to just go to the library and copy a topic or somebody. Look at that issue, novel issue that is bothering your mind, that needs to be rectified. So what that you are not satisfied about. If people do not feel satisfied with the state of things in any aspect of education, when you are not satisfied with any aspect of Nigeria education system, it is an indication that something is wrong which has to be rectified. That thing which is wrong constitutes a problem, definitely, that needs to be solved. So you can investigate it. For instance, when students are not performing well in a subject, it is a satisfactory state of affairs. You as a even teacher, you can investigate. It may be inappropriate instructional strategy that the teacher is using. It might not be the students per se. What a purely sequence, it can be purely sequence curriculum, and it can be lack of motivation. So you identify the cause of unsatisfaction, which is poor performance in the subject, and perhaps possible remedies. This particular subject, students are not doing well, they are not performing well, you are not satisfied with it, the performance of the learner, you are not satisfied with it. You cannot just use head knowledge, as we have said earlier on, to ascertain that it might be the students are not serious. It's because they are not serious. Have you checked your own method, the methodology used, the curriculum used? Is it wrongly sequenced? Is it because you did not motivate the learners? So that one has to be subjected to research. It has to be conducted. Research has to be conducted on that subject. The reason why they are failing, you evaluate the teacher, you evaluate the teaching method, you evaluate the learner. It is there you can provide remedy and to curb the failure of students. I could recollect years back when we studied the economics, there was no quantitative reasoning added to it. Today economics further mass quantitative reasoning has been added to it. It will even take the knowledge of further mass. By the time we did it, when we need Ehiyere, Pali to Pali, then factors affecting production, definition of economics, ends means, and all those kind of things. When you master all those ones, marketing and everything, you master those topics. It normally comprise about 12 topics. Then when you master it, at least the one you will do it and score A. But now there is quantitative reasoning, and students are failing. You now want to just judge why are they failing. You have to go into empirical study. You have to study, is it the mathematical aspects, quantitative aspect that are making the student to fail? Is it because they are not serious? Is it because the children detest calculation? All those one has to be studied before you can just give a generalizable conclusion. So unsatisfactory state of affairs. I want you to begin to think now, what are those things, like I said earlier, that you are not satisfied with in our educational system? Is it type of teaching? Is it anything? Is it the curriculum? Is it the unproductivity of graduates? Is it graduate unemployment? Begin to think those problems, those novel problems that somebody has not provided solution to, and you want to provide solution to. So when you are selecting your problem, the nature, we are looking at nature of educational problem, and we said an unsatisfactory state of affairs. Another one is an unanswered questions. Another form which a problem could take is that of unanswered question. In education, so many unanswered questions are banned. Many questions that you cannot provide answer to. These questions wey demand answers are problems. Nobody can just say this is the reason. For instance, why do boys perform better than girls in mathematics? You can't just say because boys are this and that. You go, you research into it. What teacher characteristic facilitates learning? You can't just say it was somehow, you research into it. These questions are problems, and once answers have been provided to them, the problem will cease to exist. If answers have been provided, some people might have seen it that okay, it is gender bias that is causing. Some people have postulated that they have done the research in such a way that they felt it is because gender bias is causing is allow boys to perform better than girls, maybe in engineering or in mathematics. If parents naturally, they argue that parents naturally, if they want to buy toys for their children, if somebody is a boy, they will buy gun, and if they buy ball, and if it's a girl, they will buy baby doll that the baby will be backing. So the such questions are being answered. But when you have an unanswered question, that is begging for answer, you have been contemplating the question, has been flogging your mind, you have been thinking about the question, and the answer has never been given to you. So you can is another means of detecting educational problem. These questions are problems, and once when they have been answered, when the answers have been provided, they cease to become problem. Another problem, another means of selecting problem is missing link. Research is there is a problem you want to solve. So and then we are looking at the means of selecting those problems. What are those things? We are looking at research program, means of selecting such problems. Another one is aside unsatisfactory state of affairs. We have looked at unsatisfactory state of affairs. We have looked at unanswered questions, the question that is begging your mind. Then another one is missing link. Missing link. When there is a missing link, a problem may take the form of a missing link or a gap. That's why we normally say a gap, either in educational thought, process, or practice. For instance, evaluation of the curriculum constitutes an important step in the curriculum development and adoption process. You have to evaluate the curriculum before it can be put to use. However, new curriculum is often introduced without some provision for such evaluation. It will just be drafted, constructed, and be used. This therefore is a missing link or a gap in curriculum development and implementation practice. That is an example. It has to be evaluated before use to see the pros and cons, to see whether there can be adjustment, whether it could be adjusted, whether there are some issues that should be adjusted. To further explain missing link, we call it gap. A has worked on this topic. He has provided answer. He has worked in this area you want to work in. He has provided answer in something, but there is a particular issue. There is a particular issue where answer has not been provided. There is still a missing link, a gap to be filled. So that is, it might be just a minute aspect. A research is not compulsory that research should be a gigantic information that you want to provide. So that one can be a missing link. That is a gap that you want to contribute to knowledge. Is that gap that has not been investigated? That gap, that information has not been provided? Is that gap that you will now decide to fill? So that is missing link. It's another form. How do you get this missing link? When you want to start, I have told you that this course, this is the theory, you are going to put it into practice. You can, in your area where you have been contemplating your subject area or your research interest area, you go to the library or you go to journals, you look at journals that have been research that have been conducted in those areas that of your interest, and you see answers that have been provided for different things. What is that particular gap that is still missing? A particular question that is still there that has not been answered. That is the missing link. You can decide, since you are not going to replicate what others have done, you can decide to major in that one, to go and search for that missing link. That is the gap that you need to fulfill. Another means of selecting problems in education research is unsatisfied need. Unsatisfied need. Educational problem could be as well take the form of a need. If there is a need which is yet to be satisfied, there is a need is yet to be satisfied, such a need becomes a problem demanding a solution. For instance, because there is paucity of standard science teaching resources in the country, the need to improve alternative resources arise. So if one can establish that a particular need exists, the one has identified, then one has identified a problem. That is, there is a need. Okay, there is need for improvisation. You have identified a need. So there is a unsatisfied need. You identify that there is a need. There is a need. No, there is what we call need assessment. For instance, now, if I want to organize, I normally organize annual workshop for my teachers. What do? I do what we call need assessment. And what is need assessment in this area now, and what I'm talking about? The need assessment I will do is that, what are those things that my staff, I will observe, they are still lacking? I look at what they are still lagging behind. Where they write lesson notes, which we marked. We interact with them. We see the way the teaching and learning is being taking place. You will see areas that are missing, that you are not satisfied, that there is still a need. So those are the things I will put together in the workshop to provide information, more information, so that those learners, they will be able to gain better and perform better. Those teachers teachers, so there will be service training to improve them, because I've identified, I've conducted a need assessment. I don't just do any workshop without conducting a need assessment. So I'll be able to identify the needs of my staff, the needs of my teachers, or the need of my staff, so that the every area, their area, us and all other area, the area in which they need will be catered for. And another thing I do is to give them, I pass a list across the area that you felt that you are in need, that you want information to be provided. At least we know where you are lagging behind. We are not an island of knowledge or wisdom. You learn from others. So those areas, so those unsatisfied need, if you can identify them, then it's a problem that you have identified in research. Imbalances in the education system also is another one, creates problems. If there is an imbalance, then the system will not function. It won't function effectively unless such an imbalance is created. There may be an imbalance in the development and provision of facilities across different levels of education, where there is no equipment, where there is no facility. For instance, expansion in facilities at the primary school level without corresponding expansion at the secondary school level leads to an imbalance, which creates a problem. Now the children will now go to secondary school. You have created expansion in primary. Access, let them come. They came. Now when they, after finishing primary school, the next stage is for them to go to secondary school. And now with the access you have granted the primary school, you are not catering for it in secondary school. So they now get to secondary school, there will be a problem. We have to sit down, classroom situation. So in this kind of situation, all sort of problems arise, because the secondary level cannot adequately take care of the products from the preceding level, from the primary school. Maybe there is free education in primary school, free access, free feeding, and many people are coming, they are trooping into school. Yes, it encourages access and quality. And now they finish from that place, they went to secondary school. When they get to secondary school, there is problem. So that is a imbalance. That one also can help us to identify, to select a problem in research. Now, after looking at that one, we want to look at choice of topics in educational research, steps in problem identification. What are those steps in identifying your problem? What are those steps that you follow? Don't forget that I told you that this is the theoretical aspect which you are going to put. This is the theoretical aspect which you are going to put into practice. The practical aspect where you are going to write your log essay or project. So choice of topics in educational research, we have exposed you to how you can detect a problem now, and I think this one should get you thinking and identify the kind of problem that you want to solve. You don't just say I just want to write topic, I just want to bring topic to the lecturer. You have to identify a problem, a lingering problem that is begging for answer, that is begging for solution. So choice of topics in educational research, steps in problem identification. What are those steps you will take in identifying the problem? We have seen how the problem can be identified. Now, what are the steps? The first step is identifying and choosing a broad problem area. You look generally, that is why you don't just you bring a topic. You identify, you look at a broad area. This area, this is what I want to work towards. Then together with your supervisor, you'll be working on it until you arrive at a conclusion of a tenable topic. This broad problem area should relate to the researcher's interests and competencies. It should be related to your interests and your competencies, because if you are interested in it and you don't have the competence that I require. For instance, a researcher may identify the following broad problem areas: evaluation of a curriculum materials, resources for science teaching, diagnosis of student achievement. You want to diagnose their achievement, what is the problem involved, etc. Each of this is a broad problem area in which many specific problems could be pinpointed. So at the starting point, the researchers has only a hazy idea or notion about the problem and cannot do much until he sharpen his focus on the problem. When I choose EFA Go1, Education for All Go1, I have to go and read along that line. The general, you have the broad knowledge of what you want, in-depth knowledge of that area, that broad area. You first of all identify. You choose a broad problem area, that Education for All Go1. You look at it and look at the objective, and now look at it that it's too broad. We have 6 objectives. I will not be able to capture the 6 objectives at a study. I was able to capture 3. The first 3, and the remaining 3 are still there. Even for a PhD work, I was able to capture 3, provided information survey on 3. I'm able to generalize the assessment. I was able to assess the comprehensive early childhood care and education in Southwest Nigeria. The awareness of the stakeholders, are they aware? What is the extent of practice? Did they carry it out? So those variables were being considered. So there it was the broad area that I first of all identify with. So you just have a hazy idea or notion about the problem. You can't do much until you sharpen your focus on the problem. So the first thing you do is for you to choose topic, a broad area. You choose a broad area. Identify and choosing a broad problem area. There is a problem, and generally you look at it in a hazy form. In the first instance, the idea, you have a hazy idea, you have a hazy notion about the problem. You cannot do much. You can't do much until you now go in depth into the problem. After that one, you have identified the general one. What you can do again is for you to pin it down to a specific problem. You pin it down to a specific problem. The second step involves narrowing down the problem to a specific and manageable level. To do this, the researcher embarked upon a program of reading relevant literature to gain knowledge of current status of research in the area. This one is very pertinent. Many of you, most especially in undergraduate level, you don't want to work on your research. You believe that the lecturer is too, your supervisor is too tedious, is too difficult, is too this and that. But we want you to do this thing properly. We can never tell. Some of you will still forge ahead to go for your second degree. Some of you might want to go for PhD. Even if you are not going, what we are doing at all is what doing well. So the reason why I'm taking my time to explain this thing is that you'll be able to apply it by the time that you are doing your research. You will now, since that you are choosing a broad area, your interest area, you will now pin it down to a specific problem. After pinning it down to that specific problem, what will you do? You will now, after narrowing it down to that problem, you will now embark upon a program of reading relevant literature to gain knowledge of current status of research in the area. What is those things? Journal. They are online. They are in the library. Now assuming you can't even get to the library now, they are online. You can be working now looking at this. Okay, the lecturer is one way or the other providing information now. He's telling me now, yes, I'm having interest in this particular area. In that area now, look at what is your area of interest. What are you interested in, and what is that problem that will be agitating your mind as a rational being, that you are looking, begging for answer, that you are looking for answer, that you want to dwell in. Thereafter, you will now, after you read, you go to you look for research. You look for books, contemporary books, to gain knowledge of current status of research in that area. What are the information that have been provided? So this reading program involves locating and going through books and review of researcher in the problem area. You review researches in that problem area, as well as referring to the encyclopedia. So from these sources, the researcher will become aware of specific problem. You will be knowledgeable within the problem, within the broad problem area that are worthy of investigation. Even those research that you will see areas, where there are some questions on still unanswered, maybe suggestion for further studies. For instance, now a broad problem area such as the evaluation of curriculum materials can be narrowed down to specific and manageable research topic, like evaluation of the adequacy of ordinary level physics textbook, evaluation of adequacy of ordinary level English textbook, a particular English textbook, evaluating the efficacy or the use of charts relative to students' academic performance in geography, the effect of using program instruction on student retention of integrated science concepts, etc. So when you have gone to the library to gain additional knowledge through reading, so as pointed out earlier, many specific research problems can be identified from a given general problem area. The three listed above are only but few of the possible specific problems that can cover a broad problem area, such as evaluation of curriculum materials. The reader can think of other specific problems that can derive from the broad problem area. You can think. Logical reasoning research involve logical reasoning. You must reason logically. So an aspect that is very, very pertinent is reading. When you want to conduct a research, don't make the mistake we made during our own period. I want to say it's because we were not thoroughly taught. When I look back at my old first degree days, we don't understand. We were being taught all these research methods. We did not understand. But I want you to understand. That's why I'm taking it upon myself. If you have questions, you ask me. I want you to really get it, so that in fact you'll be proud of yourself. After having a PhD in educational evaluation, I'm now proud of myself. But looking back at the first degree day, that is why I have compassion for you. I don't want you to make the mistake we make. We did not understand. We just go to the library, look for a relative, look for one topic or the other, look for one instrument or the other, copy them and give it to our supervisor. Don't do like that. Think. Be proud owner of your work. Now, as that as it may, I know those of you that want to be serious will listen and do the needful by reading and do a thorough job. Now we want to go to sources of good research topic or educational problems. It's not every topic that can be researchable and that can be referred to as a good topic. Problems in education could be located from the following sources. Where can you get your problem? We have looked at how to identify problem. You can get it in literature. When we are talking of literature here, we are not talking of English literature in English. We are talking of materials that are related to that subject area. This is a very useful source of problem identification in education. In books, related articles, related topics in books, reviews, encyclopedia, as well as journal and periodicals in the area of interest to the researcher. That is what we call literature. It will provide him or her with sufficient insight into the areas of problems in the field. So you can locate your problem in literature. That's still board on extensive reading. It's still board on extensive reading. You have to still study extensively. You can't be a good researcher if you don't want to study. If you just want to sit down and now 2 hours and say you are done. No, you have to study, read, settle down, write down what you have discovered in that your area of interest. Read through literature, periodicals, books, journals, current work, contemporary ones. I told you, you can see those ones online. They are online. So it will provide you with sufficient insight into the area of problems in the field. Another source of good research topic is theory. Theory is a set of propositions which can account for or explain certain phenomena or events. It is a system of providing explanation about phenomena. Like I cited the example in the other side when I was talking of theory of learning. You have Pavlov theory of learning, Pavlovian theory of learning, which is called talking of conditional situation. So in education, theories abound, such as learning theories, counseling theories, etc. These theories can provide a basis for identifying problems worthy of investigation. For instance, now, Professor Bernard ecological theory of human development is talking of interaction of children with community, with environment, that nature and nurture. So those theories are be funded. So it can give, it can provide, it can help, it can help as a source of good research, problem detection in education. This theory can provide a basis for identifying problems worthy of investigation. Theories give rise to deductions which need to be tested. That is it true? Nature and nurture affect children? Which one can affect children most? Is it nature? Is it nurture? The environment of the child? And many other things. Or the community in which the child, the environment. No, it's worthy of investigation, that deduction. We have seen a situation whereby there was a mix-up of twins in an hospital abroad. There was mix-up of twins. Now they happen to attend the same school, and people say you are twin, even though there is somebody that is related, that resemble you more than your twin sister. At the end of the day, they became friends. Your birthday, they share the same birthday. They were born in the same hospital. This give the children a kind of a way of investigating. Told their parents that they saw somebody that look alike more than the twin sister, and when it was investigated, DNA and everything was done, it was discovered that the nurses on duty were the one that made mistake or swap when because they were giving birth to at the same time in the hospital, the same day, the same hour, and they mixed them up mistakenly. So one of the, the environment of A, the way they will be behaving now is worthy of a investigation, whether the nature and the environment, the nature or the nurture, was the one that accounted for the performance or the behavior of an individual. So theory can be tested. Although it is not easy for the beginning researcher like yours now to identify problem derived from this source for theory. Problem derived from theories are usually of great significance. It might not be relevant to your own level. You might not be able to do it. It might be maybe second degree or PhD level, and the one that can be testing theories. They lead to the refinement and extension of existing theories, as well as to the formulation of new ones. So there is no theory that cannot be tested and cannot be queried. Theory that might have been there for years, somebody can just come and test the theory and provide a better one, and that can use to formulation of new words or extension of the old ones. Another source of problem where we can get problems, we can identify problem, is personal experience. Most students usually encounter some problem requiring investigation in the course of their professional training. Such personal experiences could come during their field work, like teaching practice. You have gone for teaching practice, lecture and seminars. You might be exposed to a kind of personal experience. So by carefully observing the existing practices in the pertinent areas of the student's interest, he can identify very useful problems through this personal experience. For instance now, continuous assessment pertaining to school where a student teacher is posted, he can encounter a problem he can or she can later investigate. You have gone to various schools now for your teaching practice. Now, what are those first-hand experience you had there that you felt is worth investigation? You look at it that this one is worth to be investigated. So if there is some personal experience like that and you look into it that it is tenable, you can learn itself to experiment, and it's your area of interest, you can investigate. It might be during your practicum, it might be during your teaching practice, it might be during one seminar, maybe university organize a seminar, maybe faculty organize a seminar, or it might be anything during your day-to-day lecture, receiving lecture in the school or co-curricular activities, and you find out that there is a particular personal experience that you felt is worth to investigate. This one also can help and you can investigate. Another one is report of previous research projects. Yes, I said it earlier. Although it's part of literature, reports of previous studies serve as a source of problem identification in two different ways. First, previous studies contain a section on suggestion for further research. The researcher will write it there that I'll be able to cover this area, but other researcher can cover those areas. Like I said earlier, I said I work on EFAGO 1, Comprehensive Early Childhood Care and Education in Southwest Nigeria. It has 6 objectives. That EFAGO 1 has 6 objectives. EFAGOs generally has 6 objectives, but also EFAGO 1 has 6 objectives. and I was only privileged because of time constraint and money and everything to study just 3 out of. I study only one efa go 1, only efa go 1 or go 1, the only go 1, and in that go 1 I was unable to cover the whole go 1. I said efa go 1 has 6 objectives, and in that objectives I was able to cover 3. So for further study now, I can recommend in my research that I'll be able to cover these 3 objectives of efa go 1, education for all go 1, that another researcher can cover the remaining 3. So from there, if it's your area of interest, you can cover the remaining 3 that have not been covered, that I was unable to cover. So through report or previous research project, that one has given you another topic, another opportunity. Such session usually contain a list of other studies which can be carried out based on the finding of the study being reported. Second, replication of a previous research in another way in which an identify could be further investigated. If I have carried out the efa go 1, the 3 aspects that I have carried out, if you are not satisfied as a researcher, you can, in another way, you can replicate it. The 3 that I have carried out in Southwest Nigeria, you can equally carry it out just to confirm. You know, we say one of the characteristics of empirical research is verification, verifiable. You must be able to verify it. You must be able to verify it. So you should be able to verify it. It must be verifiable, so you can replicate. It is allowed. Replicate if it is so important for you to replicate, but you will not, on the name of replicating for replicating sake, you go and carry another person's project and you copy it verbatim. It's called plagiarism. It's an academic crime, which we have been seeing it now, not in Nigeria, though in Nigeria there is a petition, someone that used the project, I think in Kenya, and the person that have been awarded PhD before, you know, it was withdrawn. The PhD was withdrawn. Is that not a big shame? So after your degree that have been given unto you, you have been awarded a degree, and later you were being sued for plagiarism. You have carried, you went to, maybe you've gone to University of Ibadan or University of Ife or any Ife or any university, you picked another person's project verbatim, or you change some things there, you copy it, and you were sued. If you are found guilty, your degree can be withdrawn. I know you won't want such a situation. That is why you are going to conduct your own research. I know you will conduct your research. If you have questions on all these things on our WhatsApp group, you endeavor to ask this question. I want you to really get this thing, because this is just the theory. You are going to put it into practice, where you are going to write your project, and it is compulsory to write projects. So let's look at qualities of a good educational problem. You have seen where you can identify the problem. We have looked at where we can identify the sources of a good research problem. We have seen the sources, that literature. You can see it in literature. I told you literature is not literature in English. Literature is the material like books, journal, periodicals that you search for relevant information concerning your research area, and you can also get it through theory. You can, it's another source. Your personal experience, what you are passing through day to day, and you feel is researchable. Then reports of previous research projects, that is, there's an area there that contain a list of other studies which can be carried out based on the finding of the study being reported, and also you can replicate a previous research in another way in which you have identified for further investigation, for further confirmation. Now I said we want to look at quality of a good educational problem. All these things are, and be patient with you so that you will really understand it, you will really be able to grasp all these things, because you are going to put them into practice. We are not fulfilling all righteousness, you are going to put them into practice. Qualities of a good educational problem. The first one is that it must be educational in nature. Don't forget that we are looking at educational problem. We are educationists. You are in faculty of education. You want to be a professional teacher, or you want to be a professional librarian, or you want to be a professional counselor. So if you want to be any one of that, you are going to conduct a research. So you want to look at quality of a good educational problem. One, it must be educational in nature. A problem is educational in nature if it have implication in the field of education. If its finding will have implication in the field of education. A problem is education now in nature if its findings will have implication in the field of education. For instance, a problem such as the historical development of Western religion in Oyo West local government area of Oyo State is not educational in nature. On the other hand, the impact of Western type of religion on educational development of Oyo West local government area of Oyo State has some educational value, and to the extent is educational in nature. I want you to look at it again. You will see that there is difference. The historical, we said we have historical research, but this one, this quality of a good educational problem, it must be educational in nature. It must be educational in nature. This one is not educational in nature because the historical development of Western religion in Oyo West local government area of Oyo State, we say it's not educational in nature. On the other hand, the problem, the impact. What is the impact? What is the impact that we can deduce? The impact of Western type of religion on educational development, Western type of religion on the educational development of Oyo West local government area of Oyo State. It has some educational value, and to the extent is educational in nature. The impact is different from the historical development. The impact of Western on the educational development, so it is educational in nature, because the impact when you look at the output, what is the impact it has made? You can generate instruments, and you can apply the instrument or subject concern, and you'll be able to arrive at a logical conclusion. The impact can be measured. So it's educational in nature. So the first quality is that it has to be educational in nature. Another one, quality of a good educational problem is that it must be researchable. It must be researchable. This is an important criterion for any problem to meet. It's an important criterion for any problem to meet. It must be researchable. It's not every topic that is researchable. Being researchable means that pertinent data for solving the problem are available and accessible. You can collect data. Don't forget that I told you data are the information that you collected from various subjects, and I told you subjects are those people that you use for the research. Those are the register used for those things. Data, the information that you collected. The subject are those people that use the subjected to the research. Those people that you use. If you use teachers, they are the subject. If you use students, they are the subject. If you use pupils, they are the subject. The information you collected from there is data. You use various assessment instruments to collect it from them. So this, what we are explaining is that it must be researchable. And we say being researchable means that the pertinent data for solving the problem are available. You can collect the data and they are accessible. You can have access to them. Somebody picked a topic years back, I think in religious studies, and the person was talking about secret cults in Ogun State. And the person now got a point, he was fixed, he was unable to complete the course. He has to go for other, because how to access, we are talking of accessibility. It's not ready, he will not be ready to sacrifice and to go to those people, those courts, maybe in Ijebu land, those courts, he has to sacrifice a lot of things. Maybe we will be allowed to enter their something. Maybe we must be ready for initiation. And when you are not ready for those kind of things, so the data are not, they are not accessible. So all those things, qualities, all must be taken into consideration before you are choosing your topic. Well, before you are choosing your topic or you are choosing your problem, accessibility and availability of data. So that person has to boycott the course. He has to obtain form from another place and do another thing when it's not, maybe it's not, the supervisor is not ready for him to change the topic. So problem dealing with ethical or value issues are not researchable. We have said it earlier on. Although people's view or opinion on such issue can be sought and obtained, consider the following problem. Should the state control education? There is no way one can collect data to answer this question. It's less to just yes or no. It is therefore not researchable. This is the same with such issue as who is a good man. Ethical issue. Does heaven exist? And should sex education be introduced in school? All these are not researchable topic. Researchable topic that are research, that you can collect data. You can collect data, and those they must be accessible. The data must be accessible, and the data you can analyze, it must be available and accessible. So that will make that educational problem researchable. We are looking at qualities of good educational problem. We have identified the first one as it must be educational in nature, and it must be researchable. It must be researchable. Then it must be significant. Don't just ask any question anyhow. It must be significant. A good educational problem should be one whose solution can make valuable contribution to either theory or practice of education. What are you contributing to? Knowledge. It must be significant. It must make valuable contribution to either theory or practice of education. If the solution of a problem does not help us to explain certain events or help us to become more effective and or efficient in carrying out certain actions, then it will be worthless investigating such a problem. If it will not be significant, if it will not be important, if it will not add value to life, what then is the essence? So in other words, any problem that is of neither theoretical nor practical significance is not a good problem. If it will not add anything, if you just want to write your long essay, you want to write your project just to fulfill that is one of the fulfillment of a first degree, you are not contributing to knowledge. So I want you to erase that I want you to contribute something to knowledge, solve a problem. Don't go into a problem that is tribal. The one that will not engage any research attention. No, go for a topic, a problem that is significant, that will add value to life, that will add value to education, that will contribute to learning. The singular thing a PhD student is doing is contributing to knowledge. What do you have? The question they might ask in Bible might be, what are you contributing to knowledge? Tell us. You have gone to field, you have gone to work, you have been working maybe 2, 3, 4 years now. What are you contributing to knowledge? Tell us. So you must have an aspect, whether it's this undergraduate level, contribute just a token, just an outer. You must be able to contribute to knowledge. Don't just pick a topic for picking sake. Don't just pick any topic the way you like. Don't just pick any topic anyhow. Another quality of a good education problem, we have considered educational. It must be educational in nature. It must be researchable. I hope you are taking note. It must be significant. If I were you, on the explanation I will be jotting notes. As much as this lecture note has been sent to you on your WhatsApp, but at the same time I will be jotting, I will be forming my notes with the explanation. Then it should be novel. A problem worthy of investigation should be solved that no known solution to it exists at the time of the study. If a question has been answered, you don't need to study it again. If a problem has been answered, you don't need to study it again. A problem should be new in some way, to the extent that it has not been solved before. If it has been solved before, why are you now dwelling into it again? Why are you delving into it? Why do you want to answer it again? It has been answered. Why do you want to provide information again? It must be a novel one. It might be very minute, but it must be a novel one, the one that has never been solved before. We have, in fact, in Nigeria educational system, we have a multifaceted problems, numerous problems that answer have not been provided. Many ones that you yourself you are experiencing, and you yourself you can think of. We know we have problems, and we need people that will solve this problem. So it must be a novel one. If a problem has been solved, then it becomes a waste of time. It will become a waste of energy. It will be a waste of resources, like your money, to also choose such a problem for investigation. It has been solved, but you want to fulfill all righteousness. The problem that has been solved, you yourself you are going there, somebody has done it before. You went to the library, you pick it, or you go to another institution, you pick it, you say you are solving it. You are just wasting your time. You are wasting your resources. You are wasting your money. You are not contributing to knowledge. So I know you won't want to waste your time, and I know you want to contribute to knowledge. So as a result, as we are talking, you'll be thinking those areas, or even if you have not set your mind to think now, I think this one will provoke you to think on day to day, and all those things you come across, maybe in seminar, in lecture, in TP, in classes, in anything, in school environment, outside the school environment, that is lending itself to investigation. Another quality of a good educational problem is it must be consistent with the researcher's competence, interest, and circumstances. For a problem to be judged good, it must be such that it falls within the interest and competence of the researcher. If you as a researcher, you undertake a research that you are not interested in, that you are not competent, you might fall by the way. That is why it is not good, it is not always the idea for supervisors to be giving topics to students. Let students think on their own. Let them look for area of their interest, because along the way, if they are not interested, it might lead to another thing. It might lead to failure. It might not even add value to the life of that, because that's not the area. It's like a students that their parents are forcing to come to school to come and take one course or the other. Some of them will not go to classes. Some of them might go to classes. At the end of the day, they might finish and draw the certificate for their parents. Some of them might not do well. They might not perform well because it's the course that I didn't want to register for this course before. So that is why, even in research, students, a researcher must do something, must handle a research that that the researcher is interested in, and that is within the competence of that researcher. So for a problem to be judged good, for a problem for us to ascertain that a problem is good, it must be such that it fall within the interest and competence of the researcher. Considering the level of researcher skill in research. So like you now, that you are just undergraduate, we are not expecting you, though even that is why I'm explaining all these things. This level that we are going to might even be, we might be saying we are going in depth, but I'm going in depth so that you will understand, you will ascertain what you want to do. So you'll be able to ascertain what you want to do. I don't want the problem that we encounter, I don't want you to encounter the same problem, so that you will be able to ascertain the area you want to go into. So considering the level of the researcher skill in research, your level, we are not expecting you to go and do second degree level or PhD level in your level. The outside that you want to contribute to knowledge must be novel. Resources and time at your disposal, considering the time factor. So that's some of these things that you have to consider. The time, how many months are you going to use for this project? It's different for PhD work that we use for 3 to 4 years for. It must be seen that the problem can be adequately investigated. Don't just go and take a problem that cannot be investigated. So all these qualities has to be considered for a good educational problem. Let me recap it. I said qualities of a good educational problem. It must be educational in nature. It must be educational. It's not for you to go to the field of history. It must be educational in nature. It must be researchable. It must be researchable. It must be measurable. That is data. You must be able to collect data. You must be able to collect data. And the data must be accessible. So you must consider that. Then it must be significant. Not just a trivial thing. It must be a valuable contribution to either theory or practice of education. If it's not significant, if it's not important, it's better you don't endeavor into it. It must be novel, not the kind of problem that has been solved before. It's the one that has never been solved. Then it must be consistent with the researcher competence. Don't do what you are not competent to do. Don't dwell in area you are not competent to dwell. Your area of interest is pertinent. So on this note, we will end today's lecture, and we can interact further on our WhatsApp group, whereby you can ask questions, I will answer. Read your notes, provide additional information. As I gave you an assignment to be submitted, I ask you to provide additional information or in form of short notes on pure research, applied research, historical research, descriptive survey, and experimental research. The assignment should be submitted. So read your note and you can ask further questions on our WhatsApp page. And on this note, I say good day.